Today, let's talk about tesamorelin, a peptide known for body composition and muscle building. But there's more to this peptide. Let's break down the science behind its signaling pathways. In this video, I'm going to explain what tesamorelin is, different signaling pathways, and cellular reaction, what the research says, the best time to take it, and the reason behind it, the published dosages, and the safety and side effects. Tesamorelin is an FDA-approved peptide under the name of 𝐜𝐸𝐬. It is made up of 44 amino acids that mimics your body's natural growth hormone-releasing hormone, also known as 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬. Growth hormone is important because as you age, growth hormone naturally declines. In fact, after age 30, growth hormone production decreases by about 15% every decade. And as levels decline, you can start seeing changes like increased visceral fat, lower muscle mass, slower recovery, decreased energy, and changes in metabolism. So during puberty, your body releases around 150 micrograms per kilogram per day of endogenous growth hormone. But after age 50, that level drops to 25 micrograms per kilogram per day. So here's the other thing. Too much of growth hormone may also contribute to increased glucose production, insulin resistance, fluid retention, swelling, joint discomfort, and metabolic complications. And this is what makes tesamorelin better option than the exogenous growth hormone, because tesamorelin works through the hypothalamic pituitary feedback system. That means that the body can modulate and regulate growth hormone release based on your physiologic needs. So it does not overproduce growth hormone. It follows the positive feedback loop in the body, which basically means it helps maintain balance. It stops when there is enough. Now let's go back to the mechanism of action. Tesamorelin binds to 𝐭𝐻RH receptor of your pituitary gland, which then releases the growth hormone. Once released, growth hormone binds to growth hormone receptors located throughout the body. Now, this is important because the location of these receptors explain many of the physiologic effects of the growth hormone signaling. Now, these receptors are found in the liver, adipose tissue, which are your fats, muscle, heart, pancreas, kidneys, and brain. And the most important part is when it binds to the liver, because another hormone is released called IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor. So IGF-1 is important anabolic hormone involved in protein synthesis, which is a process where your body breaks down protein into amino acids and uses the nutrients to build and repair tissues, especially muscle tissue, which helps support muscle growth and recovery. So another key factor is that IGF-1 receptors are also located in the brain. When IGF-1 binds to these receptors in the brain, it interacts with the BDNF. It is our brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It is a protein important for neurogenesis, which is formation of new neurons, and cognitive function, which helps support learning, memory, and brain cell survival. So growth hormone is also found in your adipose tissue or fats. It activates pathways involved in lipolysis and fatty acid beta oxidation, which basically means helping break down stored fat into fatty acids that can be used for energy, which also plays an important role in your lipid markers, including lowering your triglycerides and your cholesterol. So in muscle tissue, growth hormone and IGF-1 activate the mTOR pathway. So mTOR acts like a cellular sensor that responds to signals from growth factors, nutrients, and energy availability. So once activated, it signals the cell to increase protein production, repair the damaged muscle fibers, and support cellular growth. So this is one of the main pathways involved in muscle recovery, tissue rebuilding, and maintaining lean muscle mass. Growth hormone signaling also influences PGC1 alpha. It is a master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning creation of new mitochondria. Now, we know that the decline in mitochondrial function are strongly associated with aging. So, this may help explain why some patients report better energy and endurance. So, healthier mitochondria improve how your cells convert nutrients and fats into usable energy. So, the more mitochondria you have, the better your metabolic health and healthier aging. So, in the pancreas, growth hormone signaling influences insulin signaling and glucose metabolism, so helping regulate how the body uses glucose for energy. Now, in the heart, IGF-1 signaling activates pathways involved in myocardial contractility, tissue repair, and vascular function. Now, let's talk about the research. One of the most important Tesamorelin studies was done in HIV patients on long-term antiretroviral therapy. So this population commonly develops severe visceral fat accumulation. So visceral fat, these are the fats that sits around your organs, loss of lean muscle mass, and fatty liver disease, and also liver fibrosis. So researchers administered tesamorelin for about 52 weeks and compared the results to placebo. The tesamorelin group demonstrated about 18% reduction in visceral fat and approximately 30% reduction in liver fat. So visceral fat is metabolically active. That means it releases inflammatory cytokines that contribute to insulin resistance, cardiovascular disease, fatty liver disease, and metabolic dysfunction. So there's another study. It is another randomized controlled trial done specifically on obese patients without HIV. There were 60 participants in this double-blind, placebo-controlled study. And here's what they found. Participants who took tesamorelin for 12 weeks showed a 16% reduction in visceral fat. The waist circumference decreased, trunk fat decreased, and their lean mass increased. Triglycerides, which is an important marker tied to metabolic and cardiovascular health, dropped by 31% compared to placebo. Now, the C-reactive protein, which is a marker for systemic inflammation, decreased by 24%. And they also did carotid scan, which is a good predictor for early arterial wall thickening and cardiovascular risk. The marker was improved by 6%. When is the best time to take tesamorelin? So tesamorelin is commonly taken at bedtime because growth hormone secretion naturally peaks during sleep. Taking it at night aligns more closely with your body's circadian rhythm of growth hormone release. It is also best taken on an empty stomach because when you eat, glucose is released and insulin levels rises. So your body also releases another hormone called somatostatin. Now, it is important to note that insulin and somatostatin can suppress growth hormone release, which may blunt the effect of tesamorelin. So that is why tesamorelin is commonly taken on an empty stomach or 30 minutes before bedtime, where insulin is low and growth hormone release is better. Now let's talk about the side effects. The most common side effects include water retention, joint discomfort, headaches, tingling sensation, and injection site reaction. So water retention commonly happens between 1 to 3 weeks of this treatment because growth hormone signaling temporarily increases sodium and fluid retention. So for many people, this improves as hormone levels stabilize over time. Tesamorelin can increase your IGF-1 levels, so it's very important to monitor your IGF-1 levels, your fasting glucose, your A1C, lipid panels, and other metabolic markers. Tesamorelin is generally avoided in patients with active malignancy or certain cancer histories. because IGF-1 signaling can increase cellular proliferation or cellular growth. Now let's talk about dosing and the pharmacokinetics and dynamics. So tesamorelin has a short half-life for about 20 to 40 minutes after your injection, but its physiologic effects can last longer. So remember, tesamorelin does not replace growth hormone. What it does is it signals your pituitary gland to release your own natural growth hormone in physiologic pulses. So once the signaling pathway is activated, IGF-1 activity can last up to 24 hours, and your body naturally releases growth hormone in about 6 to 12 pulses throughout the day, with the largest pulses occurring during deep sleep. So the FDA-approved dose of tesamorelin is about 2 milligrams daily. So research studies are often designed using doses intended to achieve measurable physiologic effects and clinical outcomes. And because of that, dosing used in research settings may not always reflect how some clinicians approach individualized treatment in practice. So this is why monitoring is important, including the lab markers that we mentioned. So the goal is to start conservatively and adjust based on response and tolerability rather than immediately using higher dosing strategies. So the principle is simple: go low and slow. Outside the FDA approved protocol, some clinical and wellness practices uses lower dosing ranges, commonly between 600 mites to 1,500 mites daily. Although this is considered off-label and responses are really individualized. So thank you for watching, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have questions, comment below and I will make sure to answer them. And as always, educational purposes only and not medical advice.